you're saying that was this year's Bills with all kinds of weapons and all kinds of talent on defense? Who are we trying to kid here? Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Buffalo Plus YouTube channel. I'm Mike Catalana. As always, we ask you to please like, comment, and subscribe. This will be the League Podcast, brought to you by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Expect a stellar job every time. I am coming to you from the Connors and Ferris Podcast Studio. Yeah, the off season has begun. We're going to be in here a lot. You know us. We're going to be doing content all the time on this Bills team as they search for a new head coach. People still processing what happened with Sean McDermott, trying to figure out what the Bills are going to do next, who's going to get interviewed, maybe even what McDermott is going to do, because obviously a lot of you are going to be interested, certainly for now, in seeing what the Bills' former head coach is doing now. So a day ago, and this is on Tuesday, a day ago, Jenna, Dan, and myself were here on our live podcast. If you get a chance, you want to watch the taped version of that, we talk about our reactions and a lot of your reactions, because we were on live, to what happened with Sean McDermott. And I think around the league, people are still trying to process what happened. And it kind of amazes me how the narrative has shifted on Sean McDermott. And this is the time the Bills decide to make the move on McDermott. Like, there were times over the past few years where, certainly 13 seconds, where people say, that's the time you fire your head coach. And they did not. And some of you were probably thinking maybe they should have done that. But they remained relevant. They remained good. I mean, a year ago, they were in the AFC Championship game. They were a call away, a play away, whatever it is, to going back to it again this year. And then they end up not getting there. And then McDermott's gone. So the question is, what do they do next? But a reason I bring up around the league, because I think the perception around the NFL was that the Bills weren't going to do this, right? We are in a year where the Ravens moved on from their coach, and the Steelers, once in a century, the Steelers change coaches. Those things happen. But the Bills, it didn't feel that way. So I think there was a lot of surprise. And now around the country, there's been a lot of surprise. And Pat McAfee was on today. And he had a guy on who is a Super Bowl winning coach. In fact, I was on the radio today in Buffalo, WGR, Jeremy White, and I heard Jeremy talking about, man, if I could pick a former Super Bowl winner to coach the team, it would be this guy. And it was Bruce Arians. Funny guy, been around sports, been around the college football, coached different places, including Temple, coached in the NFL all over, was a coordinator, and then ended up winning a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay with Tom Brady. And I think he's 73. And I know I'm at that age, and Jenna and Dan will tell you, I'm not at 73. I mean, I can see it. It's in the distance, but I can see it, where you just say stuff, right? It's like, I'm just going to say it. So I heard Bruce Arians today asked about the situation with the Bills. Now, the reason I bring it up is Jeremy mentioned Bruce Arians, and not that the Bills were going to hire him, but based on what Bruce Arians said on the Pat McAfee show, I don't think he's getting a call from the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, this one baffles me. How Brandon Beane got elevated and Sean McDermott got fired, that just blows my mind, because they didn't have any damn players. I mean, the guy's one of the best coaches in the league and a great leader of men. He's taken that team to as close as you can get. Couldn't beat Mahomes. He didn't throw any damn interceptions, and the referees screwed him bad, and he gets fired. And I mean, come on, man. And Brandon Beane gets raised. I don't get that one. That one blows my mind.
That man speaks his mind, right? He's got his Super Bowl. He loves to talk like that. Probably would be good on TV. Probably be good on his own podcast. I'd listen to Bruce Arians. Yeah, that was his impression of what went down in Buffalo. Now, not everybody feels that way. I mean, there are people around the league that have been critical of Sean McDermott. There are people around who, think that this move was overdue. And we'll see. We'll see where the Bills go. Joe Brady keeps interviewing for jobs. To this time, and this is Tuesday afternoon, we've not been able to find out anything about what the Bills' plan is in terms of who they are going to interview, who they're going to bring in. If they are interested in Clint Kubiak in Seattle, they're going to wait for him. And then we will see if they're willing to wait, if they make the Super Bowl and go all the way, willing to wait till after that to make their pick on a head coach. I talked to you guys about Brian Daboll. I mean, I personally think, and I think Dan and Jenna would agree, that Daboll would be a good choice. But we'll see if the Bills even bring him in. He was talking to the Eagles about their offensive coordinator job. Jalen Hurts is somebody he worked with at Alabama, so he knows Jalen. So I have no idea if that pushes the needle at all. So we'll see. But McDermott out, and the network people, and I'll give NFL Network, this is who I'm talking about. And a lot of times on social media, I can get a little snarky about it because I just think there's not a lot of journalism with this type of reporting. It is, look, these guys have a job to do. It's what they do. They get information. They get a lot of it from people in the league. They get it from agents, and they put that back out there. Ian Rappaport, you've seen him. Rap sheet goes by, breaks a lot of news. However they get that news, puts a lot of news out there. I'm sure he works very hard. He was talking about the Bills firing Sean McDermott and what went in to the firing of Sean McDermott. Take a listen.
You're right. The Buffalo Bills did not reach a Super Bowl. Playoffs every year, AFC titles seemingly every year, AFC East titles seemingly every year, a team that went from nowhere to respectability. But the fact that Sean McDermott, with Josh Allen, with all of those weapons and so much talent on defense, could not get to where they needed to go, could not get to the Super Bowl, could not take the next step.
My thoughts on that were, man, that seems like a fun team to cover. A team that has all kinds of weapons and is loaded with talent on defense. And I'm thinking, oh, you're saying that was this year's Bills with all kinds of weapons and all kinds of talent on defense? Who are we trying to kid here? We watch the games. We know what we see. I don't think there is anyone in the NFL who would describe the Bills' offense as loaded with weapons and describe their defense as filled with talent. I mean, they played hard, good effort, but they were filling a lot of holes with guys who've been around since Sean McDermott started in Buffalo. And on offense, let's be honest, a couple nice plays by the tight ends. The numbers to the wide receivers in the last game were terrible. But you go ahead and listen and watch, pay attention to the NFL Network. That's what they're going to get fed. And that's coming from, I would assume that's coming from inside the Bills somewhere. When that message is out, this is why the Bills moved on from Sean McDermott. They have every right to move on from Sean McDermott. He's the coach. They decided he was done. But don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining, okay? I know they didn't have all kinds of weapons for Josh Allen, and I know they didn't have great talent on defense. So just settle down with that. Just say they decided to move in another direction, and they're going to bring in a new coach. The new coach might be great. And they can say what they want about the roster. The roster will be different next year because it needs to be better. So these are just a couple things that get me fired up. Fire Sean McDermott, prerogative of the team, prerogative of the owner, go right ahead. But, telling us that, you watch the games. Do you know anybody that would have described the Bills roster that way? Doesn't absolve Sean McDermott of any mistakes he made. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying is no one believes that about this Bills roster. So I wonder what Josh Allen thinks. I really do. I was thinking about being in that room when Josh walked in, and I told the story or the moments of it. Jenna and I and Dan were all in the media room down in Denver, out in Denver. And Dan texted us because he could see where he was sitting. He could see into the back. And he's like, Josh is crying, which is not something I expected. I have seen him, I wouldn't even say emotional, just down. I can see him hurt. I can see him mad at himself usually. I've never seen him like that. And he came out that way and expressed his disappointment in himself in what happened. He said he let his team down. And people have said, do you think he knew that Sean McDermott was going to get fired? And I don't believe, I would hope nobody from the organization was like, hey, if we don't win this game tomorrow, Sean's out. Like, who's going to say that? Who's going to add that level of pressure? I do know that Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, a very good relationship. And I don't know if throughout the year, Sean felt like, look, this is just the way it's going to go. If I don't get to a certain point, maybe they move on from me. I don't know if that was in Josh's mind anywhere. Maybe he was just upset with himself. Maybe he was upset that he let down his teammates and the emotion of a long season just came out. But I will be fascinated to hear what Josh Allen has to say about his coach. I know he's going to speak from the heart when it comes to talking about Sean McDermott, but we won't probably ever really know what he thought about them moving on from him and what he thinks about the next head coach. He's a player. He's in this league. He's a great player. He will move on to whatever is there, and he will play great. He'll play great no matter who his coach is. He can just be even better if it's the right fit, and the players around him can be better. So I was thinking about that today. I was like, I wonder if that was in his mind somewhere. I think it was more about his overall team, maybe not specifically about Sean, but and then I think that carried over to the rest of the team. So we will see. Around the league, I mentioned, Brian Daboll, and he's interviewing with the Eagles. He left the Giants. He left. He got fired, and it was bad. And Harbaugh's in there. And look, that's a great choice for them. I mean, the Giants need that. Joe Shane, former Bills assistant GM, was talking today because I believe it's in the contract for Harbaugh that he has final say on the roster. And Shane's take on that was, hey, it's the same everywhere I've worked. It's a collaborative thing. That's just something on a piece of paper. We will work together. You can hope that, but Harbaugh didn't want to sign that deal unless he had final say on the roster. And Sean McDermott didn't have final say on the roster. That's not the way it worked in Buffalo. Now, he's saying it's collaborative, and I'm sure he's the general manager of the team. But Harbaugh's got his Bigfoot coming in here. So it was kind of interesting to hear that. And the way the Bills are going to be set up is not going to be coach-centric. It's going to be, at least it appears to be, and we'll wait till we talk to Bean, it's going to be president of football operations, general manager Brandon Bean, to the coach who he is going to help lead the way to select. That's different. And there are things that you're reading about control of the coaching staff. John Harbaugh wouldn't have taken a job in Buffalo to not have control of his coaching staff. And I'm not saying they were going to hire John Harbaugh. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know of the choices they have. Does Clint Kubiak have options at other places that he's like, if I'm coming, I want to pick my coaching staff? So you can say as collaborative as you want. If a coach has leverage, if that's the guy you say you want, we'll see how that plays out. But Shane's saying it's just on a piece of paper. Yeah, Harbaugh wanted that on the piece of paper, so we will see. And by the way, when it comes to like Daboll, look, he failed with the Giants. We know that. He had a really good first year. Then it went south. I see people in New York. I love this out of the New York City reporters. It's the New York Football Giants. You talk about pandering to their team. They're like, this is getting John Harbaugh is one of the great moments for Big Blue, all this stuff that they say. The Giants have a great history overall. They have 2 Super Bowls in the 2000s. Great Super Bowl wins over the Patriots. But over the last decade plus, they are the Jets with better uniforms. So stop kidding yourself like it's this hallowed ground of that crappy MetLife Stadium. The Jets are a disaster, and the Giants have been just as bad over the last decade plus. In fact, I think the Giants have won less games than the Jets, which tells you something. So I think Harbaugh can fix a lot of that. I think culture will fix a lot of that. I think if he's got the right quarterback, it'll be the case. But sometimes I'm like, really? Settle down on speaking of the Giants like they've done anything in the last, what's it been, since 2011? Great championship. but that they've done anything. So maybe I screwed up the year. Anyhow, and the last thing I want to talk about is the Final Four set. I'm bored. I'm bored because I'm not excited to watch these games. The Denver thing is wild. It just so fits into the Patriots season, right? They've been phenomenal. Their wide receivers made plays. They may not be the most talented, but Butte went out there one-handed, brought that one in. Diggs made a great catch. Like, they made plays. CJ Stroud stinks. I was way ahead of these two. No, not as much, Dan. They just like to give me a hard time about it. I just don't think CJ Stroud is any good. But they got that team without top two pass catchers, right? Including Nico Collins. And now they get, how wild is it? Bo Nix plays the entire game, 2 great drives. Well, 1 great drive, 1 aided by penalties, but no matter. He got 2 late on the Bills. And it's like, I just took care of the Bills and beat them. Now I'm going to break my foot so the Patriots don't have to play against me. Is that not crazy with the way this season has gone, that they get that break? You know, they played the Bengals without Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, or I think maybe Higgins played half. You know what I mean? Like, it's just worked out for them, and they've taken advantage of all of it. But they're going against Sean Payton with no Bo Nix. Jared Stidham, former Patriot, is going to be the quarterback. Now, look, Payton is a very good offensive coach, and he has a massive ego, and that man would love nothing more than to get to a Super Bowl with Jared Stidham as his quarterback. That would be like top of resume. Ahead of, you go with Drew Brees, that's one thing. You get Jared Stidham in the championship game to get you to the Super Bowl, he will love it. I have no idea if they really could do it. At least it's in Denver. We will see. But otherwise, the Bills fans may be watching New England back in another Super Bowl post-Brady, which would be wild. And then Rams and Seahawks in that other game. I thought for most of the year that the Rams were the best team in the NFL. I think it's the Seahawks now. But we'll see how Sam Darnold plays in that game. I have no real thoughts on who I want in that game. I got family members, my brother, nephew are big Rams fans. For them, that's fine if they win. If it's the Seahawks, I'll be rooting for them in the Super Bowl just to see what plays out. But I know a lot of you are now trying to root for the Broncos to see how it plays out in that final game. All right, well, we're going to keep an eye on everything that's going on. We're ready to go to Orchard Park whenever Brandon Beane and maybe I would assume Terry Pagula, but I don't know if he will speak about the firing of Sean McDermott. Maybe when they put out a release on the new head coach, everything will be spelled properly. I know they had a little bit of an issue with that. But we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out, and we will have complete coverage. We'll be up there for that, especially once they make calls or once we find out. Any information we have, we will pass it along. All right, so that's going to do it for me from the League podcast brought to you by Stellar Roofing, Windows, and Siding. Expect a stellar job every time. Coming to you from the Connors and Ferris podcast studio. As always, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For Jenna Cottrell and Dan Fates, getting a veteran day off, I'm Mike Catalana. Thanks for watching Buffalo Plus, and we will see you the next time as the Bills off season now rolls on.